Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about noun-adjective agreement. And this is one thing that really trips up a lot of students, just because it's so different from English. In English, every noun, every person, place, or thing is just itself. We don't have this whole idea of gender and number and all that good stuff, but Spanish and all the languages that evolved from Latin do. So this will work for, well, something similar will work for French, Italian, all those other languages. Okay, the basic idea here is that in Spanish, every noun, now what's a noun? A noun is a person, a place, a thing. So everybody you know, any place you can go, anything that you can show, boy, that sounds like a Schoolhouse Rock episode from years ago. Any of those things are nouns. So your best friend, okay, the shoes you're wearing, the town you live in, all of those things are nouns. Now, in Spanish, all nouns have what's called gender. Now, this doesn't mean that it's literally a male or a female. It's just a term that they've come up with to describe it, okay? To describe that, how should we say this? It's a classification, okay? It's a grammatical classification, that's all, okay? They put all the nouns, some of them into the masculine classification, some of them into the feminine classification. Sometimes it makes total sense. Like the word for a boy is what's called a masculine noun, okay? The word for a girl is a feminine noun. Some words make no sense at all. For example, the word for a bra is a masculine noun. Yeah, go figure. I don't know. I have my own story on how this happened, but you know, it's fiction, so I'm not going to waste my time here. But anyway, all nouns in Spanish have what's called gender, okay? And for most of the nouns, for the vast majority of the nouns, you're going to be able to tell if it's a masculine noun or a feminine noun by the last letter on the word. If the last letter on the word is an O, the vast majority of the times that's going to be a masculine noun. And again, don't get stuck on thinking that it's male or female. It's just a classification. It's just, you know, a way that they've kind of organized things to think about, okay? So if it ends in an O, most of the time it's a masculine noun. If it ends in an A, most of the time it's a feminine noun. Okay, there are exceptions, but those are few and far between, so we're not even going to worry about those right now. Okay, now, so if we look at this word right here, libro. Okay, see that word libro? It ends in an O. So the word, and that word means book. Okay, libro means book. That word is a masculine noun. Doesn't matter who's reading it, if a guy or a girl is reading it, it doesn't matter. The fact is that a book is a masculine noun. And I know what you're thinking, like, well, that's just weird because it doesn't, you have a male book and a female book and then they get together and they make magazines. No, it's just a book, okay? You got to get that through your head that it's just a classification, that's it. Okay, so libro is masculine. It ends in an O. If you look at this word, casa, casa, that means house. It ends in the letter A. So it is a feminine noun. Okay? So remember that. O means masculine most of the time. A means feminine most of the time. Okay? You with me? Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky. In English, we can just say it's a red book. Doesn't matter. It's really easy to do. Okay? We threw an adjective on it, the word red. Red is an adjective. It describes a noun, in this case the book. Okay? Spanish, it's a little bit harder. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, okay? Adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns, okay? So if you say you have a friend is a noun, but describe your friend. Let's say he's tall, okay? Tall is an adjective. That describes your friend, okay? Let's say you have some shoes. Shoes are nouns. Let's describe those shoes. Let's say they're stinky, okay? Stinky is an adjective. It describes shoes, okay? Let's say you have a teacher. And that teacher is boring. Okay, teacher is your noun. Boring is your adjective. Okay, that's the word that describes your noun. Okay, in English it's very simple. We can just throw nouns and adjectives together. Boom, they match up and everything's happy. Spanish is where this is where it gets a little hard. Most adjectives, like the vast majority of adjectives, can end in either the letter O or the letter A. The reason they can change is because they have to agree with the noun that they're describing. So come on over here. See over here? We have libro, and then we have this word, rojo. Rojo means red. Okay? We're going to have a red book. The book has a red cover. Now notice, the word libro is masculine. It ends in an O. Notice what we've had to do to this adjective. We've had to make it end in the letter O as well. Libro rojo. It agrees. That's masculine, and so is that. Okay? They agree with each other. If we look at this noun, casa, that's a feminine noun. Casa ends in an A. We put the word blanca. Blanca means white. Okay, so we have a white house. So we have a casa, and notice, blanca. That last letter on there is an A because it has to agree with the noun that it's describing. Oh, Senor Mason, what happens if I put an A on the end of roja? Well, that would be wrong because roja, ending in an A, that would be a feminine adjective or feminine ending on the adjective, and that would not agree with the masculine noun. So, if that's an O, that's an O. That's an A, that's an A. Okay? Oh, but wait, a couple things. Did you notice that the adjectives on these two examples, they came after the noun? Okay? In Spanish they say, I'm going to read a book red. I live in a house white. Okay? That's just the way they do it. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of languages that do that. So, most of the time the adjective is going to follow the noun. It's going to come after it. Now, watch what we do here. Let me get a different pen here. Blue. It's a different color. That's what they taught me to do in teacher school. Okay? What happens if we're not talking about one book, but we're talking about books, plural? Okay, so now we have libros. Okay? Now, this adjective agrees in gender. Okay? It's got an O, that's got an O, but this is plural. Okay? What we have to do here is we have to change this adjective to a plural ending. In other words, we have to make our noun and our adjective agree in two ways. Number, in other words, singular or plural, one, more than one, and gender. We've already done the gender. Now, we're going to add an S right there, and that's a really sloppy S, but it is an S nonetheless, okay? So now we say libros rojos. They agree in number and gender. Same thing down here with casa. We want to talk about white houses, okay? Now we have casas, which is feminine. It's also plural because there's an S on the end. So now we put blancas onto the end of that. We put an S onto the end of that, okay? And now our nouns and our adjectives agree in number and gender, okay? Now, quick note of caution. There are some adjectives that do not end in O or A. Let me give you an example. Verde. Okay? That's a really sloppy handwriting job there. Sorry about that. Verde, V-E-R-D-E. Okay? Verde means green. Now you'll notice that adjective ends in an E. So what do we do with that? Okay? There are some adjectives that are what we call gender neutral. Okay? They can describe something that's either masculine or feminine in this form. So if I wanted to talk about a green book, I would say a libro, here would be S, libro verde. If I want to talk about a green house, what is a green house? I would talk about casa verde. Okay? So this one is gender neutral. You don't have to change the ending from O to A. But if you want to talk about something plural, if you want to talk about libros, green, then you have to add the S. Libros verdes. Or if you talked about green houses, you'd say casas verdes. Okay? And that's the basic idea. Again, nouns and adjectives. All nouns in Spanish have gender. Okay? Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it really doesn't. Okay? For the most part, they end in O if they're masculine, A if they're feminine. Any adjectives that are going to describe those nouns. First off, they're going to come after the noun most of the time, but then the adjectives have to agree. They have to agree with the nouns they describe in number and gender. Number, meaning singular or plural. You have an S on the end, okay? Gender, O, O, A, A. That's the basic gist there. Okay, good luck with that. If you have any questions, well,